If you've ever thought about expanding your professional organizing services online by creating a course or even offering virtual organizing or coaching, today I'm going to walk you through everything I know about how to do that.
You're listening to the Pro Organizer Studio podcast with Jen Obermeyer. Thank you for joining in. Jen makes it her mission to broaden the horizons of savvy businesswomen in the organizing industry by instilling confidence and inspiring authenticity. She is a devoted business coach and founder of the Inspired Organizer program. Each week, you'll gain new insight into strategies designed specifically for professional organizers. And now, let's get started.
So let me give you guys a little bit of background. First of all, so I'm the creator of Pro Organizer Studio, and I run an online course called Inspired Organizer, which I created kind of on a whim, outlining and planning some content that I just really felt like was on my heart that I wanted to share about organizing businesses. However, I never planned for it to become my full-time job, so little did I know I was diving deep into the world of online business and everything that that entails. So if you're wondering why I feel, smart enough or qualified enough to talk about online business, is because it's been my life for the last 2 years with Pro Organizer Studio, and I have also had the pleasure and the opportunity to coach some of my students on some virtual organizing, which is, basically an online type of organizing coaching service, how to market that, how to sell more of that, and also some other people who have been creating more of like a group program type of online product, more so. I have been able to coach them one-on-one on, okay, how exactly do you create that and how do you sell it? Because I understand a lot of what goes into behind the scenes of building an audience online and then how to sell something to them. So this is a topic that is really, it came up in our private group for Inspired Organizer, because I know a lot of people, that has kind of been one of their goals for 2018 is, I want to create some type of online product or a group program or do more virtual organizing, but I kind of don't know how to go about that, or they haven't really made progress on that goal. And then some other people had questions about running Facebook groups. So I felt like, okay, maybe it is time that I just go ahead and put everything that I know and that I feel about this topic all into one chat. And I did want to bring this back onto the public page because it's not exactly, it's not Inspired Organizer related material. That is, my course material, which is really primarily focused on selling in-home services, which is obviously in person. I do touch on in the course a little bit about how to create and sell a DIY plan, which is you creating a plan for your client, and that's your service. You're creating the plan for your client to carry out on their own without you being there. I still, I would still say that's sort of an in-person service because you still go and you do the consult and everything. Of course, you could do that virtually, but I still consider that a in-person service. But we do touch on virtual organizing a little bit in the course, a couple of different ways to go about it. But I don't go too heavy into how to market it. So today we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about other types of online products. In fact, that's going to be the main part of my outline. I did make one. Types of online products, starting with free all the way down to the most expensive, which would be like, one-on-one FaceTime with you over the computer. So let's talk a little bit first about why any of this is beneficial or why you need to know this. It is not required for you to do in your organizing business at all, but I do think that there comes a time for everyone when they want to have at least one component of their business that does not require them to be physically present, maybe because you want to take a physical break or because you want to be able to reach a much larger audience than just where you live. So that obviously is a huge reason why this is more of like a long-term goal for people, but the hard part is finding the time to kind of like, set aside to get it going and get it rolling when you kind of don't even know like who is going to buy a mini course from me, who's going to buy an ebook from me. So we're going to talk about all these things, and I'm going to give you some ideas that are based on not just my personal experience, but also things that I have seen other organizers do, not necessarily my students, but I have I have researched and seen a lot in the organizing world, so I know that there are a lot of things that are being done out there as far as people doing home organizing courses, from start to finish. I have seen photo organizing courses. I have seen meal planning courses, like all things that come from a professional organizer point of view, but that usually are related to like a certain topic. So I'm going to try to talk you guys through this in an organized fashion. However, my style is super casual, and I do have a lot of little things that I know I'm going to want to share with you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to go through types of online products, and that might take a little bit of time because I really want you guys to like open your mind and see how many different kinds of things that there are that you could create and sell. And then we're also, first of all, we're going to talk about big picture because I do have some big picture things that I want to say. Then we're going to talk about types of products. And then we're going to talk about, as I go through those types of products, I'm going to talk about tools, because that is a big question that I have gotten even from like my own family members. They're like, well, what platform do you use for your course? And how did people find you? For them to even know about it. So I'm going to talk about all the behind the scenes stuff about tools as I go through the types of products and things that pertain to those different things. And let me be the first one to tell y'all, I have tried a lot of different things in my online business. They have not always all been successful, but I have really tested a lot of different types of things, and I have also invested in my own learning a lot. Because I know that there's a lot that I don't know, and so I have bought courses about some of this online business stuff. Some of them have been great, and some of them have just been okay. So at the end, I'll definitely give you guys some of my like recommended people that I would say here's a great resource for certain types of things. So I will share that as well. So we'll talk about tools. We'll talk about resources. We'll also talk about just like a process for creating a product. Like, how would I even go about that? If I was going to make a group program and it was going to be 6 weeks, like how would I do that? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about pricing and selling the product. And then I'm sure we'll go back into some of the little things that I think are really important to know when it comes to being successful with this, because there is a lot in like the, people who teach online business. Some of them I think are fabulous, and other ones I think are really, they may have good intentions, but they don't come across very well. They come across kind of scammy, and I feel like I'll just give you what I feel like is my opinion on how much you need to know or to invest, because I feel like there's always another coach that can help you invest to another new level. And yes, there's always like things you can improve, but I feel like the greatest experience that you can have is putting yourself out there and teaching what you know, getting feedback, and then using that feedback to improve what you're putting out there. Like that, I believe there is no better teacher than that. And so, to that end, I have made a lot of mistakes, but I don't really regret any of those, because I feel like, okay, well, I learned whether or not that worked, and I learned whether or not that's something I'm comfortable doing again. So I'll just try my best to share that as we go. Okay, and I'm really, really excited that all of you guys are here. So let's move into this. So what I'm going to talk about is types. When I say, bringing your business online, that may mean different things to different people, because some people, I know they just might want, a little extra thing that they sell on their website in addition to the services that they're already like, you're committed to selling services. So this may be something that is sort of a small project that you're thinking of doing. Like maybe it'd be nice to have like a downloadable ebook on your website that costs $10. Like that could be, what you call a small project. Some of you might be thinking, I would really like to, build a big enough audience that I can run my entire business, from anywhere, because it's not dependent on my location. I can be on my computer. I'm running, group programs or maybe one-on-one services that really almost replace you coaching people one-on-one. So let's just go ahead and differentiate. Like, don't feel bad. Like if your goal is not huge, that's fine. And some of you might only still be just starting out with in-person services, so you might feel like this is a little bit overwhelming. Don't worry about that. This is just something to kind of like soak in and just think about. All right, so I promised you guys I was going to start with the big picture, and I do have one big picture thing to tell you. Out of everything that I have learned over the past 2 years, with all the tools that I've tried, with all the resources and courses that I have taken, I would say that all along the way, every step of the way, the problem or my thing, and this is just part of growing, but my thing that I've had to correct for every step along the way was that I wasn't thinking big enough, obviously from the beginning, but even when I would take another step forward, it was like, oh, now I got to go back and I'm not going to say fix it, but it was like I was always having to go back and kind of troubleshoot things that were happening behind the scenes, of course, whether it was a tool that I chose that didn't really do everything it needed it to do. And so I was like stringing together a bunch of different things, like an email provider with a website, with a course platform, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that you don't see that eats up so much time. And I know that if you guys are really short on time, I might want to tell you, I feel like so few people will take this seriously. But if you're short on time, then you need to just think big from the beginning, because you need to think, okay, you know, if I'm going to be serious with this and if I'm going to pour my heart into something that I want to put out there and have it live out there, of course, again, not like you can't improve it and change it, but if you're going to put your name on something, people will find you. Okay, so let's chat about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about an imaginary organizer with an imaginary niche and imaginary idea. I do actually think it's a good idea, but it might strike you guys as kind of funny because it's really super specific. So that's my other big piece of advice is, you know, today when you are thinking about some things that you could do, I think the big thing is you have to think big, and the second thing is you have to think really specific. And here's the reason why. It's because what you guys want to do is you want to think of something that is an answer to a problem that a lot of people have. This is an exact example. They're like, what do I do with, you know, years of Christmas cards? Like, you know, what do I do with old Christmas cards? Because I'm not even making this up. One of my previous clients posted that on her personal Facebook page like 2 days ago, and all of her friends were like, oh, you should like make books out of it. And she's like, I don't have time to do that. And she even said, she's like, I really just want somebody to give me permission to give them away or recycle them. And of course I had to comment on that. But like, those are the kind of things that people are actually like searching for. So today my imaginary person that I thought up is going to be an organizer who, and I know y'all are gonna think it sounds crazy, but that's why I think it's so funny. It's gonna be an organizer who specializes in organizing like holidays, like holiday organizing. Okay, so when you at first glance you're thinking that sounds kind of crazy, like who in my town is looking for somebody to come and only organize their holiday stuff? But hang in there with me, because what we're talking about is building a reputation and building a thing that you're known for that is way beyond just your local town. Okay, so let's say, and now at first glance this sounds very specific because you're like, well, that only happens a few months of the year. However, it's one of those things that people don't think about until the last minute, like after Halloween, and so then it becomes this really overwhelming thing. So it's not only, you know, it's not only buying gifts, it's not only dealing with their disorganized attic, you know, it's dealing with family, it's dealing with food and meal plans, it's everything, right? So, and just generally, like the end of the year is really hard with, you know, work. It's the end of the fiscal year or whatever for a lot of people, so it's a lot of stress. So let's say we have an organizer who's like, okay, I'm really just going to like focus on what am I going to do to help people get to the point where maybe they just experience the whole holiday season with less stress because they've planned some of these things ahead. They've dealt with some of these things, you know, in the summer when it's not like, you know, pressure on you. Okay, so let's talk through some of the types of products that this person could make. So if we're on her website, so we're going to start with just like free information, like stuff that you don't have to enter in your email address for, you can just find. So free information would be her website, her social media, her blog, and social media also would just include YouTube or like any other kind of videos or content that she puts out there that people can search for and that people would be searching for. So this would be things like, okay, figuring out what are the types of things that people are searching for that relates to disorganization around holidays, holiday meal planning, how to I'm not really great at thinking of like exact topics off the top of my head, but you guys are kind of get my drift, right? Like you would want to think of like blog posts that you could write about that relate to that topic, videos that you could write about that would relate to that topic. The whole thing is to get people who are already searching for precisely what you are the expert in, and that you have decided like this is going to be a thing that I can really help people with. I didn't have to have a college degree in holiday organizing to be able to put myself out there and say this is kind of something I specialize in. And so you have like lots of helpful DIY types of information that's either on a YouTube channel or a blog, or again, like anything that's free information. So you want to think about, like I've talked about this in the Inspired Organizer group. You want to think about, and you'll hear this in online marketing a lot, a funnel. Like a funnel is shaped like this, obviously. So people up at the very top of the funnel get to you because you have this free information that they can consume. So you would want to think about being found. This is what I was talking about a second ago. Being found when people are searching on Google, Pinterest, and YouTube. Those are like three really, really big things. And in my own business, in Pro Organizer Studio, those are the three things that I focused on in order to be found by people who are looking for exactly what I want to talk about or that I have to offer. Okay, so that's free information. And then the next, tools and resources for this. Obviously, if you already have your website, you have your tool, which is Squarespace or WordPress or whatever your website is. Social media. Anyway, I won't go too much into that, but thinking about anytime you come across something that talks about content marketing, that's what they're saying. Like you're putting out content that is helpful and valuable for people and answers their questions. So the next level would be information that is still free for them, but it is gated. And gated in online marketing would just mean anything that they have to enter in their email address for. And the reason why this is important is because, in the long run, anything that you're doing that you need to sell online, you need to be building up an email list of, potential leads. Basically, it's the same as when you're selling, in-person organizing services. You're going to have, a list of people who know you and who are interested in hearing from you. Email marketing is a whole separate topic, but the number one biggest thing that I can tell you that I have learned in the last 2 years is not to be afraid to email the people who sign up for your email list. Now, not to say you have to email them, every day or even twice a week, but sending out like a one little time a week newsletter, it's like, if people don't want to hear from you anymore, they can unsubscribe. But the reason why, they're on your email list is not, what's the word? You guys you shouldn't feel nervous about that. They signed up because they wanted something that you had. So now that they're on your email list, you can continue to give them value. You don't have to go straight into selling them something, but eventually you are going to need to get comfortable with the fact that you will be using that to sell something, right? Okay, so let's talk about what a gated free information product could be. In my business, what mine was, and there's been several versions of this, but I had a free email course, and it was just called the free course. At one point, it was just like a free download of the whole entire course, but at one point, it was like a 7-day automated email series. So I wasn't sending out those emails personally, but whenever they signed up, it would send them 1 email a day for 7 days. So the tool that I use for that is my email list provider I started with and stayed with for a really long time was ConvertKit. ConvertKit is not free. If you're looking for a free version, MailChimp is what you want to go with. I'm pretty sure MailChimp has some automations. I'm just not sure if they are free or not. I'm not a MailChimp expert, but if you're looking for something free, that's what you need to start with. But again, when you're thinking of long-term growth, you do not want to be switching email providers every 6 months or even every year. Like you really want to kind of find one that you feel comfortable with, you like the design. You understand how it works, and you can continue to grow with it for a long time. So gated free information could be like a free email course. It could be a free ebook, and it doesn't have to be long. And obviously, you don't have to have it printed, but you basically write something up and turn it into a PDF. That could be something that people that people enter their email address for, and then they get an automated email back with your free ebook. So when you create the ebook, I was trying to say it needs to be something, again, that is related to that niche we already talked about. So you already decided, like, okay, here's something that I can easily be the specialist in because there's nobody else specializing in this, and it's something I'm really passionate about and I'm willing to talk about all day long, every day. It's an important part of choosing your niche, right? Okay, so when you create that ebook, it needs to be something that, again, continues to give people value, that's a little bit more than, them stringing together like 4 or 5 or 6 blog posts that they might have read on your blog. It's like, okay, here's something that's more laid out in order, gives you a little bit of structure, but it's still free, and they're like, wow, that was really valuable, that was really good. Another idea for a gated free info product would be anything that is on your website that it's free, but they need to have a password to get into it. So if you guys have been around Pro Organizer Studio a while, you know we've had a lot of different features. And so what we used to have was a free resource library, but you had to enter in your email, and then you would get an automated email that once you confirmed, then it gave you the password and you could go back and get in. So that would be an example, of something you could put together, a few resources that is behind like a password protected wall of some kind. All right, so those are a few examples for that. So as far as tools that you would use to create those, in Squarespace, there is a password protected feature that is free. You can use it. Once you have, now this is getting a little bit complicated, but I just want to let you guys know it all integrates with each other. With your email provider, you would have a form that you would embed in your website, that once the person entered in their email, they, on that page that says, hey, I have this free resource library, they'll enter in their email, your email provider will take care of the rest of it. You don't have to like sit there and hand out the password every day. Okay, so another example of a sort of gated free info product would be a free Facebook group. So as you guys know, I had a free Facebook group for a very long time, and it's gated not in the sense that I have everybody's email address that ever joined, but that they have to request to join. And with Facebook, they do have a feature where you don't have to, but you can ask a question just to make sure that they answer the question like, do you really want to be a professional organizer, or are you just like trying to spam? Because you will get a lot of spammer requests on Facebook, and you can tell because they're a member of like 300 groups, and it's some random guy from another country. You're like, you're clearly not in the right place. So the free Facebook group is also a little bit of a, is sort of gated in the sense, but you don't have them on your email list, but you do, you have the opportunity to reach them easier than you would from your Facebook page. Nowadays, I'm not sure if it's exactly still that much more favored, but it has been known as an easier way to connect with people on Facebook versus where with page posts, they don't get seen very much anymore unless you are paying, to have them boosted, putting a little bit of money behind it, like as a Facebook ad. So let me talk, I'm going to pause on this subject for a little while because I know a lot of people want to know, like, what are the pros and cons of having a free Facebook group? Well, first of all, the pro, like I said, is that you have a way to let people have access to you for free that's a little more, intimate and special than just them commenting on your blog and hoping that you comment back. Or commenting on your YouTube or whatever it is that you have that was the free thing. So if you guys remember, I'm just trying to make sure to paint this example so you guys know. If you guys remember, when I had our free Facebook group for Pro Organizer Studio, I would do the Facebook live chats in the group, and then I would repost them to YouTube. And so then people would find them on YouTube, find those chats on YouTube, and then come and join the group so they could participate in the chats. If I were starting my business again, all over again today in some other way or whatever, I would still do exactly that strategy because nothing was more beneficial or successful in helping me get to know all of you guys and for people to find me like on YouTube than doing that. And so, it still like blows me away that people are like, oh my gosh, I found you and I binge watched all your videos. I'm like, what? It's just me sitting here talking to my phone. Like, there is not anything more accessible for you to build a relationship with an audience than doing some type of video. Again, it wouldn't have to be in a Facebook group. You could do it on your Facebook page like this, but if you're like me, I didn't want to do a Facebook video on a public page when I was starting out. So it's a really nice way for you to gain confidence. And I don't know if y'all remember this, but I started doing these videos when there were 0 or maybe 1, 2 people in the group. And then I would still do it every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, even when there were only 6 people in the group. So it was just a commitment that I made. And I think the fact that I made it a public commitment, like every Tuesday at 9, I'll do a live chat, we would take breaks here and there, but that is the consistency that's helped grow that group and helped me get confident enough to do what I do today. Like, I had no idea that I had such a love for talking to people on the internet, but it's something that I would not have been able to foresee at the beginning. So if you guys think at all that you want to do some type of video, if you're comfortable doing this type of video chat and letting people get to know you that way, it becomes then a very natural next step for people to be willing to pay for you to be talking to them just one-on-one, because they already feel like they know you. They're listening to you on the video face-to-face all the time, but now they get the chance to talk back and show you their space or whatever it is that you have decided like your niche or your specialty is. So those are some of the pros of a Facebook group. The cons of a Facebook group are that the more that it grows, it becomes, it's your life, like your notifications on your phone. Because it's your group, you can't just ignore it, or at least that's not how I would do it. It becomes very, very time consuming. Again, this is a good thing if you have a strategy for like what you're doing with it. Like if you're not using it to, let people know about the group program you have or whatever it is about your one-on-one services, if you're not using that group to sell, and when I say sell, it doesn't have to be constant like hard selling. It can be very natural. It's like, by the way, this is something that I've had great success working with people one-on-one. Let me know, or not let me know if you're interested in getting on my schedule in the next month, or however you want to say it. That's just like, hey, it's not like high pressure, but you're in this group, so you must be interested in this thing. So I think you guys, if you're really interested in doing a Facebook group, be comfortable with the fact that it's free for them for a reason. It's because you do still have something very valuable to continue to help them with the next step in the journey. Another suggestion I've given some people in the Inspired Organizer group is, like, if you're going to grow a group that really is really engaged and gives a lot of value either through video or whatever it is that you're going to do with it, teaming up with somebody who's interested in the exact same topic you are, and you guys could both run a group together and split up the responsibility of either doing video content or answering people's questions, and then decide, okay, who's going to sell what, or how are we going to make sure that our services aren't stepping on each other's toes. That could be another possibility, just something to think about. The other benefit of a Facebook group is when it gets to be a certain size, I think it was about 1,000 people, but maybe it's even less than that now. Facebook will promote it for you, basically, as a related group, like for what your interests are, right? So it will promote it to other people that they think would like to be in that group. So that's one benefit as well. So as it continues to grow, it kind of grows itself because Facebook is promoting it. Again, you get to a certain point where people join it and they don't know who you are, like they didn't see your videos, they didn't know, they didn't find you the same way as the people did originally, but it still is a cool way as long as you are kind of purposefully and thoughtfully driving them back to your website and letting them know a little bit more about who you are, who you help, and like, what your thing is. I remember what I was going to say. All right, this is my last comment about free Facebook groups. One of my friends, in another niche, not organizing, she had a free Facebook group that grew to be a large size. And she also had a group program that was only $50 a month. It was awesome. It was insanely valuable for what it was. is an interior designer, so she was basically like, you can work with me, you can get my feedback at the drop of a hat, with this group program and everything. The problem was she's having people, hesitate to join it because she was already answering questions at the drop of a hat in her free group. Maybe not at the drop of a hat, but she was already giving them like her opinion on their design choices or whatever it was that they were working on. And so I would recommend that you figure out ahead of time, what are the things that I am willing to answer and talk about in my free group, and what is paid content. And the reason why this is really important, obviously, is not just because you're just trying to turn every single person into a paid member, but because the people who have paid to be a part of your like inner circle, they deserve to be the ones who get that attention from you. And so I think it's really important to protect their investment and their relationship with you by not still continuing to answer every single question that comes up in detail in your free group. So if you do have a free group of some kind of decide like, okay, here are the levels of things that I can help people with for free, versus you're going to need to join my group program, or you're going to need to work with me one-on-one to really get what you're looking for out of that. So I know that's hard. It was very hard for me, but it's just something that everybody's going to have to decide at some point if you're going to, have an online business and stuff. Okay. All right. So that was the last thing. All right. Cheap information product. This is our next level. So this is something that would cost like $7, $9, like something you think of as being like super, super cheap, not something that you are going to think like, oh, this is going to make me tons of money this year. It could make you some money, but like the main thing is, it's something that people get a little bit more of a next step with you. And it kind of shows you, this is an important point too, it shows you who is willing to even put like $1 or $9 into their results. So let's go back to this imaginary organizer we're talking about with, she's going to eventually lead people down to her group program, which is a year-long program where she's got monthly lessons and, not lessons, but like homework and more of a structure of like, here's, things that we're going to do throughout the year to ensure that your holidays are a success and that you're not scrambling and that you're not stressed and that you don't gain 10 pounds. I mean, obviously there's all these benefits. So as we're leading, so let's say she's got her free information on her website. She's got a free Facebook group. Maybe if she wants to do that, maybe she just does that little membership area, the password protected membership area, where she's got some free printable downloads of like things that like you can plan out like ahead of time for the holidays. And then maybe she even has like a list of like, here's what you can do every month of the year, like to work a little bit so that when you get to the holidays, like everything's done, everything's planned, blah, blah, blah. So when you get to the cheap info product level, maybe this organizer, she has maybe even created like a cheap mini course, like a $9 mini course, like, 2 weeks to get to a certain result that is related, again, to this Christmas niche or holiday niche in general. And the purpose of this would be not so much to make the $9 off of the course, but it's like, oh, here's a look at what my teaching style is like. Here's a look at the type of projects and steps that like you can expect from me if you were to commit to working with me, for a longer period of time. By the way, I actually love this Christmas idea. I hope you guys are all thinking of like different ideas right now, like something like applying this information to your thing. All right, when you're thinking about making a mini course, it can be a paid, like, again, I'm just gonna say $9 because we're thinking cheap, no brainer, okay? $9, it can be an email course where you get an automated email from me every day for 3 weeks, like 21 days to make a habit, right? I don't know, however you're gonna make this relate to your niche. There are ways that you can do that. It can also be actually, instead of just an email course, it can be actually hosted on a course platform using one of like the free plans. So Teachable, so we're going back to tools here for a second. Teachable is the course platform that I started out with, and they do have a free level. It doesn't give you tons and tons of features and benefits, and obviously everything is like branded, like Teachable or whatever. But it's a way to start, and when you put even like a, 3 weeks of lessons, or, little steps and reminders for people, even creating a small change for them in that 3 weeks, like that's very powerful, because then people start to believe like, oh, well, if I can do this 3-week program, and if I saw that change, I now have the confidence that I can continue to get the ball rolling. And you guys also have to think about everything I'm talking about. I'm trying to relate it back to the types of clients that we work with. Like, they need to make small changes. Like, you don't want to overwhelm them and say, we're going to organize your whole house, so sign up for my course to do that, and it's going to cost $500. It's like, no, they're not going to, even if that's cheaper than working with you, they're not going to like just take that step, right? So you need to be thinking about how to get them to build up the belief in themselves, and also get a taste of what is it like really, taking one of your courses and working with you one-on-one, like what is the quality that they can expect, and that type of thing. I think that's a really powerful idea. Some other cheap information products would be, we talked about doing a free ebook. You could do a cheap ebook as well that actually cost them some money. Maybe that could be even like a longer, more full version of the free one that you gave them. Something, again, I mentioned printables a minute ago in the free password protected area. That could be one thing. You could also sell printables. I know a lot of organizers do that, or they sell like home organizing binders. You could do something like that that is very related to your niche and your specialty. Side note, I should have said this at the beginning probably too. When you're thinking about your audience that you're trying to reach, I also really think that it's a time saver, very beneficial for you to be thinking about an audience that you yourself are a part of. Because the name of the game at the end of the day is, you have to, if you're going to be able to have an online business, you need a large enough number of people that trust you. And I think that one of the shortcuts to being trusted is to share your own struggles. And you don't have to be like 10 miles down the road from where they are. You only need to be a couple miles down the road from where they are. Like, here are the things that I have experienced, in my life, or with this situation. Like, maybe, for example, you've gone through a divorce and that's now years behind you, but here's some things you wish you would have known. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be a divorce expert. It's just like, hey, I went through this and I know what it's like, right? So when you guys are thinking about that audience, it's so much easier. And I feel like this is like the most generic advice that drives me crazy online, is they're always talking about getting to know your ideal customer, surveying your ideal customer, and finding out what they want. I'm like, maybe, but who you know better than anybody else is yourself. And I think that you know what you personally struggled with, and what kind of resources you wish you would have had at that time. And I think that, again, you can create that product that you wish you had, or you wish you had come across. And then again, later on, you can still come back and improve it once you have actually had real other people like buy it and say, this was awesome, and here are the questions I still have. You can go back and incorporate all that back into it. So it's something that can continue to like live and evolve, but I don't think you need to spend a year doing market research on like what your ideal customer wants. Like, go ahead and make something that you know in your heart like is needed. And especially if you have noticed that there's something that like really needs to be said that nobody else is saying, be the one to step forward and say, I know we talked about this in Inspired Organizer recently, all the Christmas gifts is too much. How do you set boundaries with your family members that want to give you stuff like until you die? I mean, like all these things that you feel in your heart, like other people feel it too, and other people are searching for solutions for the same things, right? All right, so that was my side note. Be a member of the audience, obviously, that you're trying to reach, because you know their struggles intimately since you have been there. You could also do a cheap membership area. If you guys hung around Pro Organizer Studio, the resource library has been paid, it has been free, it now is like in a totally different format. So like when I first started it, it was only $6 a month or $7 a month. I used, if you're looking for a tool for that, I use an app or a third-party site called MemberSpace, and that's for Squarespace. It's a membership. It gives you membership capabilities for you to be able to protect your content, so nobody can like just get the password and go into it. And you can charge whatever you want. I mean, so that could actually be your cheap information product, or maybe that could be a more expensive one if you have like really good content that people would pay monthly to stay and to stay in that membership area. So MemberSpace, if you're using Squarespace, if you're on WordPress, there's probably a lot more and a lot more expensive ones, but just Google like membership plugin for WordPress. All right, so the next step, nope, I missed one. I told y'all there's so many options. So this is a brand new thing. Facebook is rolling out the ability for you to charge a monthly subscription or membership to Facebook groups. I haven't personally seen like that option yet. I mean, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to like charge for the group itself, but that would be something that would be another example of, instead of doing a membership area on your website, you could have a paid Facebook group that you just directly charge access to, instead of having to do it like separate, where you have a separate subscription and then you have to like let them into the Facebook group separately. So that could be another thing that you think about utilizing. That could be something that could be your cheap information product, or that can even, you can even end up using that for your paid like group program type of thing that you want to do that's more expensive and you give a lot more. I would just say though that obviously one of the big differences with a paid Facebook group versus a paid membership area on your website is that in the Facebook group, people will expect you to answer their questions and be more present. So that's why I like that better for like a, more of a group program option, because at that level, they are going to expect a little bit more support from you, versus, at the cheap information product. However you want to go about it, just be thinking about, what people are used to on certain platforms. Okay, so the next thing is the medium level information product. So this would be something that is like $29. I'm just throwing out these prices randomly. They could be anywhere from like $15 to $50, like whatever you feel like is medium. So when I'm talking about this medium information product, I'm still talking about something that is a little bit more, it's not just like a $7, $9 thing, but it's something that they pay a little bit more money for, but they're not going to be getting like one-on-one support with you for it. So this would be something like, not just that mini course, but like a DIY course that like you created. For example, this is the type of thing I've seen a lot of some, not a lot, the organizers who are creating courses or creating that type of learning experience. Like for example, a do-it-yourself photo organizing course. I've seen a lot of that kind of thing. Do-it-yourself paperwork, decluttering, that type of thing. It's a paid course that is not just cheapy, like maybe it's $50, but they're not expecting to get, there's no like support that you're offering for them. And then another example of a medium price information product would be like a book, Now, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a book that you print. It could be, well, we're going to talk about that in just a second, but I want you to put a star next to this. This medium level information product, like either just a do-it-yourself course, like you don't give them group support, you don't do any one-on-one stuff other than, of course, like customer service if things come up, but either that kind of course or like writing a book. Again, it can be self-published, like it doesn't have to be that hard, but if you're going to start with something, like say right now all you have is your free information that you already have, and you have your one-on-one service. Like, by the way, the one-on-one service that we sell is the bottom of the funnel because it is the most expensive and should be the most expensive. Like you being in person doing one-on-one coaching with somebody should be the most expensive out of all those things. But if you're going to start with one level, I would start with that medium thing. And here's the reason why. Because if you, like, let's say if all you had before was a website and your social media, and then you're selling this, really expensive one-on-one service, how powerful do you think it would be for you to be one out of all the organizers in your area. I'm still talking about selling one-on-one services, that you've written a book about your specialty, or you've created an online course about your specialty. I think it is extremely powerful in helping you. I mean, obviously you can make money from that medium-sized product, but I think it can be extremely powerful in helping you sell more of your in-person services. Because don't people want to work with somebody who's written a book about the thing that they need help with? Like, it's just very powerful in people's minds in terms of like expertise. So again, you know, how you price your book is totally up to you. But when I'm talking about like a medium level, like it's not just like, it's not a 10-page ebook. Like this is more of like, you know, a book that people can either download or they can buy. So if you were thinking about doing this, hats off to you. I would love to write a book, but I'm not there yet. You can self-publish it very easily. So what you want to Google and teach yourself and learn about is going through Amazon self-publishing. That means you upload it, and when somebody wants to buy it, they print it and ship it to them. Obviously, you're going to want to buy one for yourself. So you're like, hey, friends and fam, I'm an author. So that's really cool, but you don't have to handle any of the logistics of who am I publishing this with, how am I getting this printed, how am I getting these shipped to people? Like, you don't have to deal with any of that stuff. So, so it's really amazing. You actually, I mean, you keep, I wouldn't say like a super high percentage, but you keep a much higher percentage than you would with a traditional publishing deal. You have total control over what you say in it and how it, you know, how your message comes across. All right, and then going back to my other idea for that medium level information product, obviously, you know, if you can help people, if you have a topic, if your niche lends itself to you creating a course where you put all of your knowledge into like a do-it-yourself course where, you know, you can take them through 4 modules or 8 modules. I do have some tips for you. First of all, let's talk about tools. I started on Teachable. I now have all of my courses. I've moved over to a platform called Kajabi, Kajabi. And that again was one of my personal growth curves, learning curves. I didn't know this was going to be like the core of my business. You know, when I started, and Teachable is cheaper and it's easier to use. So use what you feel comfortable with, especially if you consider yourself like not a super technical person. I mean, there are so many course platform options now. I haven't used most of them, obviously, but there's one called Thinkific that is really easy. I would highly recommend not going with like Udemy, I don't know, Coursera. What is the other one called? Skillshare. There's a lot of other course platforms that you can sell a course through, but they're going to take like most of your money. And if you're going to make a course, do it and host it and sell it yourself so that, you know, you can get the money back out of it. So I wouldn't recommend going that direction, even though again, you can get a lot more exposure to, the traffic of the kinds of people that want to buy an online course about decluttering their paperwork. But if you're only making $2 every time somebody sells it, every time somebody buys it, I mean, it's just a lot of competition based on price. So I just would not recommend doing that. So Teachable is what I started with. Kajabi is what I have now. Kajabi is more of a all-in-one solution for a lot of the things that I do in my business. To me, it helped me solve a lot of things where I was like stringing together like my email provider with my website, ConvertKit, Squarespace, Teachable. I had to have like Zapier, that other like third-party integration platform, help do a lot of things like automatically. It was kind of like behind the scenes. It was kind of like everything was like tied together. And now with Kajabi, I feel like everything is actually all in one place, and it works together for my needs really well. So I have been really happy with moving over to that with that option. Kajabi also gives you, again, if you're thinking big, Kajabi also gives you a lot more flexibility on how your stuff appears. For example, every Teachable course looks exactly the same. I mean, it looks great. You got like things laid out by module, you can check it off, you can upload videos, you can upload worksheets, you can upload text, you can basically put everything in it, but it always looks the same as every other teachable course. Whereas with Kajabi, I feel like my stuff looks more professional, especially when I rebranded and upgraded with Inspired Organizer. Everything it looks a lot better, and it looks different than my other courses, and it looks different than everybody else's other courses. So I've been really happy with that. I also use Kajabi as my email provider now. So I was able to kind of consolidate a lot of different tools that I had been using since the beginning and got it all moved over. And, again, like I said, you can't avoid, evolving and having to change tools sometimes, but when you do have to change a tool and you're like, I'm going to be spending the next 3 to 5 days of my life like figuring all this out, unless you are super, I would consider myself high medium technical savvy, like I have a lot of experience with a lot of different things, and it still is just annoying. So if you hate technical stuff, if you hate technical stuff, online business might not be the right route for you, but you might just want to go with something that's a little, like, even if it's $20 a month more than the other thing, go with the thing that gives you more flexibility from the beginning so that you don't have to have like these technical upgrade headaches later on. Okay, so that covered my medium level information products that don't include any support with you. All right, so the next thing would be, oh, by the way, let's go back to our Christmas person. So let's say our Christmas organizer ends up writing a book about all the stresses that go into holidays and how nobody ever thinks of these things until the last minute. And there's it's not just, it's money stress, it's food stress, weight stress, it's work stress, end of the year, it's family stress. Like, even if she's going to, this is the point I want to make, even if she's going to end up making a group program where it's like, all right, we're going to spend a year and we're going to have like dedicated topics and themes each month so that we have, we arrive at our destination and we're all in one place and we're not super stressed, and this year is going to be different because we've planned it out ahead and organized it and blah, 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 I don't know. Even if she's going to do that, she can still write a book about basically the same stuff that she's going to be teaching in that group program. But the value of the group program is you get the one-on-one support with the expert, which is you. And what people really, really want and need more than anything is not to read another book. They need their hands held throughout the process and to break it down into simple steps. It's like, okay, all this sounds so good. Again, think of your niche. All this sounds so good, but tell me what the next thing to do and make me accountable for it. And I want to be held accountable for it. And that's why I'm so glad that I paid money for it. They can buy a $20 book and be like, that sounds awesome, but I know I won't do it on my own. So anyway, so when you're thinking about, as your medium level information product, if you do a book, it doesn't have to be substantially different in content from your group program that you're creating. So that's a win-win, right? All right, so let's move on to the next level, which is that I'm calling it a large information product. And for organizers, again, this could be a bigger course. Like there could be a lot of different things, but I feel like for organizers, the group program is a really good way to go for the reason of what it is we're working with people on. Mostly it's stuff that they need to make small steps consistently, and it's stuff that if they don't maintain it, it's just gonna like get a mess again. So having a monthly format is a good, probably digestible amount of information and support and accountability and check-in, versus saying, let's organize your whole house in 6 weeks. It's like the time frame is not right and the motivation doesn't match up, and it's like, just in terms of them getting results, I think having a monthly program that has a specific, and sorry, it doesn't have to be for a whole year, but it could be for 3 months and you check in every 2 weeks, or you could do a whole year and you have once a month check in. It could just be something that has some rhythm to it and has a definite beginning and a definite end. Because I don't think that the type of people who need to get organized in any area of their life, like I don't think they benefit as much from just being a member of a community that, for example, you're charging $50 a month, like my interior designer friend, and just saying, well, you just, you get access to me, get designer expert feedback on your home projects at any time. I think that we need to, in our industry, be a little bit more purposeful, where it's like, okay, join this group program because we're working on this specific project. It's not just get access to me anytime you want. Although I understand why that sounds enticing, I feel like, we need to have a little bit more, purpose and structure to what we're offering for people to actually want to sign up for and be like, oh, this is $90. This is totally doable, or whatever. It's 6 weeks and it's about this topic, and this is exactly what I came searching for her for. And I'd rather work with this expert online in her group program and have her get to know me than hire somebody even to come to my house that is just not a known expert in this topic. So you can see why people would choose that, right? So going back to, another big difference with the group program versus, that medium size like DIY course is you are offering some type of personal support. And it doesn't have to be that you're, in this, group chatting and doing video every day, but just that there is some sort of access to you. However, the thing though is that it is still on your time. Like you as the organizer, like you're running the program and you have this group program, but it's not like people expect an instant answer if they post a question and you're paid. Like, let's say you're doing a paid Facebook group and it's for 3 months and it's on a certain topic. And because you got to plan this out with your own life. It's like, okay, during this 3 months, like I need to be available, a little bit every day because it's only for 3 months. So you can't just like ghost them for 2 weeks. Like that's a huge part of the program. So you say to yourself, during this 3 months, like I'm going to spend an hour every day, but when it works for me. You don't have to commit to like a certain time frame so that people are just like, why aren't you online? I really feel like as you're doing a group program, they are still like, if they want to have access to you at a certain appointment time, they need to make an appointment and pay for that one-on-one. So I think just be clear on what the difference is with those things. So with your group program, just like we're talking about with the book, I mean, the content, the steps, but this is really deciding a time frame and deciding what the end result is and breaking it down for them. I think the mistake that probably everybody makes is biting off a little bit too much for each week or each month that you're in the program, because we think this stuff is easy, but for everybody else who's living their real life and who is actually struggling with this thing, they need it to be like small wins. So going back to our Christmas organizing expert, let's say she did a program from February until November. So I was thinking like 10 months, because you wouldn't want it probably to go through the Christmas holidays because you actually want to have a break during that time. So let's say you break it down into 10 months. So you have 10 topics that you've thought out and 10 lessons and 10 things we're going to focus on, so that like once a month we're going to give a little bit of thought and prayer and energy towards our holiday season by either shopping ahead, planning ahead, going ahead and organizing our Christmas decorations when it's, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm not really great at thinking of the exact specifics off the top of my head, but you guys know there's so much that can go into that can be done ahead of time, so that by the time they get to the holidays at Thanksgiving, everything is like, okay, I can actually enjoy my family because I'm not scrambling and because I didn't plan again this year. Anyway, do people actually wait till Black Friday to start shopping? Like, I guess that's what most people do. Side note. Okay. So the group program is something that you are leading them through, but they have made that commitment. I just said this a minute ago, I'm going to repeat it. They've made that commitment financially, which helps people stay accountable. They don't want to just like dip out on that thing, that result that they were excited about. Like, you're helping them stay accountable by being with a group of people and, by the fact that they've paid for it. Like, if it's free, nobody needs another free thing. Like, people need to actually like move forward and make progress, and usually the only way they'll do that is by investing some money. Now, another big selling point of this type of thing, and I'm sure will want to bring this up, either on your sales page or when you're talking to people about it in your free group or whatever, however it is that you're educating people about this special program and special experience with you, is that it's a fraction of the cost of what it would be to work with you one-on-one, either in person or even one-on-one virtual coaching. So that's a huge benefit. And so I think, a lot of people will really, appreciate the fact that you pointed that out, because they're like, ooh, I get a piece of her brain, the expert's brain, for hardly anything at the cost of what it would be to work with her in person. I know that kind of thing is very enticing to me when I see it, a chance to work with somebody who I really respect. I want her opinion more than anything. And it's cheaper for me to, make the commitment, invest in myself. Gosh, I love that word, and I love people who understand that, how important that is. You want to invest in yourself, you want to make the investment, but they're getting, a bargain still. It's like, oh, I'm making this investment and I know I'm going to get the results, but it's far less than it would cost me to work with a person one-on-one. So that's a really smart way for you to always be framing the benefits, compared to something else. Like at first somebody might look at your group program and be like, oh, it's $185 for 3 months. It's like, yeah, well, if you're working with me, not that you have to say it like this, but it's like, hey, this is a tenth of the cost of what it would be for me to to work with an organizer one-on-one in your home, and you get access to me during that entire time. So always be comparing it favorably to what the other options are, All right, so that was a little moment on how to sell it. Okay, so the last level of working with people online, as far as I can tell, is selling virtual organizing packages, which would be just like you selling a package I teach with regular organizing, but you are committing to a series of however many, coaching sessions, which could be on FaceTime or Skype. If you guys are interested in this, the number one resource I have for you is my interview that I did with Nikki Boyd, who this is her entire business now. She does do in-person organizing, but Nikki was a YouTuber. She still is a YouTuber. She's a very well-known YouTuber, actually, who just loved organizing. She had never worked with other people before, but she decided to launch organizing services in her hometown and virtual organizing at the same time. Well, guess what? Because Nikki has, at the time, I think she had 300,000 YouTube subscribers, and so I don't know how big her email list was, but again, she'd been growing that email list, which, like I said to y'all at the beginning, really, really smart. In the long term, if you ever want to sell something, you got to have people you can email about it so that they know about it. She said when they launched it on the email list, she's booked out with virtual organizing just from that. And so she has a team of other people who go and do organizing in Charleston. But her main thing is doing virtual sessions with people all over the world who already know her. It's on my blog, so you can read the interview with her, and we talk about, okay, so in my world, virtual organizing to me, if I was doing it, is more like I'm creating a project plan, and then we have check-ins, we talk about obstacles, blah, blah, blah. In Nikki's world, she is literally sitting with people on FaceTime, and they are organizing their room, and they've got the phone set up so they can see it, and she's coaching them through that, saying hey, you don't need 5 of those or whatever. And that pretty much blew my mind, because for my personality, I never would have thought oh, people really just want you to sit there with them and talk them through. And she said, yes, they love it. They want her opinion. They feel like they know her. It's cheaper than hiring an in-person organizer, and they feel like they're sitting there it's gold, they are hanging out with their favorite celebrity. So that's incredible. So obviously what she did, I don't think she ever would have predicted or projected that was going to be her business. But just reading that blog post is an amazing case study in what it means to build an email list of people that know you and love you and trust you. So please go study that if that's something you're interested in. You don't have to, of course. become a famous YouTuber in order to do virtual organizing, all along the way from all these things that, we've gone through, your free information you give on your website and your social media, even in the book that you write, or even in your group program, you can say, and we have the opportunity to work one-on-one together. Here's what I offer for that. So I told y'all at the beginning I was going to mention it, just a few things that kind of bug me about online business in general. Some people would tell you, if you really want to grow your business, that there should never be an end to the funnel. Like if you have 100 people in your group program and you have 10 people that are working with you one-on-one virtually, that then there should be, 1 or 2 people that are committed to even bigger package with even more exclusive attention with you, that kind of thing. Basically, they say there should never be an end of things that you're selling to people. And, in my exploration of like what I'm comfortable with and like what I really feel like is right for me and the trust and the audience that I have, I don't, maybe it's just because of my stage of my life. Like I want there to be an end, like, because I don't want the people who I'm really close with, again, at the bottom of the funnel here, those are people that I've invested a lot of relationship time with, and I don't want them to feel like, but there's always the next thing that I'm trying to get them to buy, unless they just want to, right? But that's my point is some business coaches will tell you, well, the answer to your problem is just to create another offer. And problem just means growing your business. And I just tend to say there's got to be an end point, Now there is, in terms of growing an online business, I will say, I didn't even write this down. I told you I wasn't going to talk about one-on-one services because that's offline, right? But you could potentially, and I think, again, this would depend very greatly on your niche. I don't think this is going to work for the Christmas organizing lady, all right? But you could, if you had a really specific specialty, especially if it had anything to do with like an emotional support type of thing, you could do like an in-person retreat where you invite people who are on your email list, who know you because they met you online, not because they live in your area. You could invite them to like an in-person experience where you spend 3 days together, and I don't know what you talk about, but again, there is that opportunity. I think if it's the right match for what you teach and who you are, but again, I think that would be a really special situation. So what I was going to say though is you could have a group program that has some like existing like core material, and then your group could be the support and the ongoing access to you. That would be kind of similar to what I've done. Or you could not even have core material. I have been a part of a paid online group for a really specific business purpose that the lady who ran it, she got some people to join. She got some people to join at the beginning, and then she basically took a survey of all of the topics that we needed to learn as business owners, and she mapped out 12 months of content, and then she posted a schedule and said, here's what we're going to be doing the whole year. So you don't even have to have like this existing content for them to consume and then have you be the support on. You could almost plan out the content and, deliver it like dripped out like over the year. For example, our Christmas thing is a really good example, because you could say like, okay, July is the time when we should start thinking about Christmas presents or whatever. So talk a little bit about my experience with creating a course and what I was thinking and where I even got this idea to begin with, because I know that there was a lot of fears and hesitations and times, like so many times, that I almost was like, I'm just going to scrap this whole idea, and just something kept me going with it. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So a lot of you would be thinking like, okay, why would anybody buy a course about my topic when there's so much free information on the internet already? And that was I wouldn't say that was a really big thing in my case, because I really felt like I had something different to say. However, I know that that's a thing. And here's the reason why, and this is the reason why I've bought a lot of courses, even when the information is probably out there. Like I could probably YouTube it, I could probably Google it, I could probably figure it all out eventually. The reason why is because information on the internet is all over the place, is not organized in an order that I need to go in, and there's not enough structure to it that's going to, okay, good. Kelly said this will be helpful. There's not enough structure to it that I would be able to move through it meaningfully to get to that end result quickly. So the thing that you keep having to tell yourself is people want to do less thinking and less researching and less figuring it out on their own. They want one person to be like, here's what we're doing next, you know? And I get a lot of confidence, for example, when I take other courses, that I'm going through things in the right order and that I'm not missing things. Now, in my case, I've taken a lot of business courses versus like, personal organizing courses. However, if one of you guys could make a course that was like, here is the definitive answer on how, and I'm like, okay, specifically, I have a Mac computer, I've got an iPhone, I've got photos, digital photos, they're already all scanned in, I know that they're all there, but like, give me a definitive start to finish, here's what you need to do to get all of your photos organized once and for all, and here's a process for you to keep up with it once a month or every 2 months for the rest of your life, so that you don't have this like scattered amount of digital photos. I would pay any one of you guys who could, obviously show me what I'm getting and show me that like this is really going to get me that result and it's not going to take me 8 months like it will on my own. Any one of y'all would pay $250 right now to have that information. That's just an example of like, I'm so tired of trying to figure it out and I want somebody who's going to lead me through it. And that would be one of those medium information products, guys. I wouldn't be expecting you to like provide me support about it. It would just be like, you're going to get it done and here's what we're going to do. And I've got a course about it. It's thorough. It's made for exactly your situation, that kind of thing. All right. So that's I'm sure one of the fears is like, okay, there's a lot of free information out there. So what makes me different? The reason why it's different is because you're actually going about it in an organized manner. I think another big fear, and this was definitely one of my fears about creating a course, is feeling like it had to be massive, like really big, and make sure I covered every single thing. And one really good piece of advice I got early on is you actually don't want it to be super long, because you actually want your person to get to their result or their transformation or whatever the benefit is of why they sign up for it. You want them to get to that result as soon as possible. You don't want to be like, sign up for this and in 6 months you might have that result. It's more like, do this and in 6 weeks, if you stay consistent with it, we're going to have, reached these specific outcomes. So don't feel like it. And another big piece of advice I got was, if you can write 6 blog posts, you can create 6 modules of a course. Like if you're really thinking about doing a course, I think the benefit of doing a group program is you can just come up with the topics. And if you feel comfortable talking on video, like at length, like I obviously do, and providing the support, of course, of whatever questions come up, then it can be a little bit more on the fly and you don't have to like plan it all out in advance and read off of a script and feel like it has to be perfect. I'm not good with that. I mean, I like to be perfect. That's the problem. So I like doing this type of interaction because it's unscripted, but with my courses and course, like it's much more methodical, detailed, and I speak a lot slower and I record it and I edit out all the ums and weird stuff that I say. So depending on your personality type, that might be a deciding factor for you. And going back to marketing, it's about thinking about what your target audience, like what are the problems that they are already searching for, like what would they be actively searching for online? And this would be things that they're typing into Pinterest, things that they're typing into Google, and things that they're typing into YouTube. And I feel like starting there is really smart, because you're starting with the people who are actively searching for you. And then again, you can grow later and, ask people to share with a friend or, get testimonials and, grow beyond that later. But I think starting with people who are actively looking for you is easier. To to kind of get some momentum going on it. So creating content, and on Pinterest, Pinterest and Google and YouTube, all three, is all about search engine optimization, which is, making sure that the keywords that people are actually searching for are in your titles and in your descriptions for all three of those things. So this would be putting content on your blog, pinning it to Pinterest, having nice images on Pinterest that people want to click on, filling out the descriptions on your pins, and pinning those to not just your own boards, but to like group boards where people are sharing ideas that are around that same topic. If you guys are really, I promise you I would share with you some resources that I do love and trust. And who I learned everything about Pinterest from is a girl named Melissa Griffin. It's Melissa with a Y. And I took her course on Pinterest. It's called Pinfinite Growth. And that was how I was able to grow my Pinterest really pretty quickly. YouTube, I did not take a course on YouTube, and I don't even know of anybody who sells a course on YouTube, but YouTube was a major part. And like I told you guys at the beginning, doing the Facebook Live content in Facebook, and then reposting it to YouTube, and making sure that those descriptions had, the topics. And Jan said she just listened to Melissa's webinar today. Yeah, she's good. Making sure your descriptions on YouTube have the topics that people are searching for. Again, I said this at the beginning, I'll just repeat it now. If I was starting a business all over again, I would do that exact same part of it. Putting out video content on Facebook and reposting it to YouTube. Because people aren't searching Facebook. There's so much video content on Facebook, but people aren't searching Facebook the way that they're searching YouTube for how-to information. And when you think about most organizing topics, they're almost always how to do something specific, or what to do with. That's a really good keyword. What to do with blah, 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 whatever it is. We were talking about at the beginning. What to do with old Christmas cards. Do I keep them in a stack forever? Do I scrapbook them? See what other people are doing that is at least similar to what you're doing right now. And I was going to say that should be my next point. Did I research a lot what other people had created? I would say yes and no. Like, for example, I never took anybody else's organizing business course before I made my own organizing business course. I didn't do that, but I knew enough about what they offered to know what I felt like was missing out there, and to know that I just really wanted to say something different. And to be honest with you, guys, I told you that I wanted to quit on this idea before I even started, multiple times. And the thing that kept me going was every time I saw what I would say my competitors, although I really think that I made something that was substantially different. But when I saw my competitors, I saw what was out there, and I knew in my heart, and I still feel this burning inside me, I knew in my heart how I felt when I wanted to start an organizing business, and when I researched online and saw what was out there. And then, so knowing how I felt when I started, and then knowing what I knew after I had been doing it for a while, and I had had some success doing some things that not everybody else was doing, and I was like, this is missing, and this really needs to be said. And I think it really needs to be said in a way that is not threatening and intimidating to people. So that's what kept me going, is every time I saw what other people were selling, and I was just like, that's not what people really need. I think that, we all get stuck in perfectionism mode, and those things are not helping. So that kept me going. You guys, another thing, this is good advice. This is, take this the way, with a good heart, the way that I mean it. Sometimes when you look out in the world, i.e. when you Google, maybe you want to Google the idea that you have and see if anybody else is doing it. Sometimes the fact that somebody else is doing it means that it is a good idea. And usually you can look at what it is that they are already doing and see a few ways to improve upon it. And it doesn't mean that you are copying their idea. It doesn't mean that you're copying their idea at all. It just means that you are taking what you consider to be, because everything's relative, you might consider it to be oh, they did it, but it's kind of mediocre, or it doesn't look that great, or it's not that easy to use, or she doesn't really talk the same way I do, and she doesn't have the same vibe I do. It's well, you could do the same topic, but you can do your own version, and that could be really successful for you. And the good thing is whoever person A was proved that there was a market for it. So it's not copying, it's just noticing that something is making a little bit of money and doing something that, you know, is substantially better, or more fitting for a very specific audience, so on and so forth. Sometimes when you look out there, I guess this is what some people say, sometimes when you look out there and see that nobody has done what you've done, you get excited, but then people are like, well, but does that mean it might not be a good idea? I don't know. I think it depends on what your topic is. I think if you can find articles or other advice or Pinterest boards that are related to the idea that you're thinking about making a course about, writing a book about, or doing a group program about, there is a market of people who want that help and are willing to pay for a little bit of personalized step-by-step help, rather than just going through life trying to piece together Pinterest articles and trying to figure it out on their own. Okay, let me see what else I have in my notes here. Oh, when I was talking about process for creating a product, I know this is going to sound very simplistic, but you need to create an outline to end all outlines and think of every possible thing that needs to go in a place. I mean, and maybe again, I know not all of us who are organized in the same way, but this is definitely how my brain works. I do like to make lists, and when I think about talking about something really thoroughly, obviously it's going to be in your brain for a while. Like if you're really going to do this, for example, this photo organizing course idea that I threw out there, it's like, all right, start with what are the big steps? Then go down and break each step down into what am I going to need to know to get this step done? And it sounds really easy. It's not so easy. But anyway, make the big steps, break down each step, and then you have to decide on each step what kind of content that should be. Should it be a video? Should it be just text? It can just be text. Video obviously takes more time. It also gives I think you charge a little bit more for a course when you have video in it, not just writing. And it doesn't have to be video of you talking like this. Like all of my videos in Inspired Organizer, for example, they're not of my face. Because I know people are tired of it by that point, but it's me talking over slides with bullet points, and then I do a lot of screen share tutorials. So when you go through each of your, you have your big outline, you break down each one of the steps, decide whether that step should be a video, a screen share. Obviously, if you're talking about digital photo organizing on my computer, you would be making a lot of screen share tutorials for me, because that will help me follow along. You know, like I don't need to hear you talking about it, right? So you have to decide what type, if it's going to be a video, what type of video, what kind of worksheets. Worksheets are good because it gives you, again, something to give people, like it gives them a thing to work with even when you're not there with them, so they can print out like a workbook or just some worksheets that go along with each lesson. Again, your course does not have to be as big and expansive as my course is. It can be a short thing that still has like one worksheet that goes with each module, you know, some little tip sheets to remember, or reminders, or even like a create your own checklist template for whatever the niche is. If you're talking about meal planning, obviously having some like blank printable calendars that have like little things that are branded and cute that like go with your brands. You know, little things that just give it that extra oomph factor. So I think you want to go through each little step of the big steps and decide what kind of content does this need to be. Then you have to go through and actually make all that content. But do I have tips for this? I don't know. I really can't tell you what I did to get all mine done, except that I would batch together. I would do like everything of one type all at once. Like if I was going to make a lot of slides, I went ahead and made all the slides for the entire thing. If I was going to do screen share tutorials, I made a list of all the tutorials I needed to make with the points that I needed to make in each one and the websites I need to pull up for each one. So I was like ready to go. So basically just batch it as much as possible. I didn't go through like by module and say I'm going to do a worksheet, I'm going to do a video, I'm going to do a screen share tutorial, and then I'm going to do whatever. Like I would do everything of one kind all at once. If you're doing something like photo organizing, there might not be as much like workbook content. It would be more like maybe like one like master checklist that you're like, all right, this will take them from, day 1 to day 3. Like you could say like, if you devote 3 days, you could have all this done in 3 days. And then you could say, of course, you can spread it out over a longer period of time. But, you tell them it's DIY, it's up to you. You can do it at your own pace. You have lifetime access to this course. Like, it's really a nice little sell, because they know if they buy it, and they know if they ever get around to setting aside 3 days, that they'll be able to knock it out. It's just like, isn't it nice to know sometimes that like you've bought something that's like, it's there when I'm ready for it. Like, I'm just not quite ready for it yet. And that will happen. You'll have people that'll buy stuff and they won't even do it right away or ever. Can't be responsible, I guess, for everybody's results, but you want people to get results. So asking for feedback, I think, is important. Here's a good tip. When you get people going in the group program and you start actually, this is gold. When you actually start interacting with people who are even a little bit invested and enjoyed the course that you did, and now like they want to have like, oh, that's really cool. You're going to lay it out for like 10 or 11 or 12 months for me. And that way I know that every month I'm going to spend a little bit of time on it. It's like, oh, that's really cool. Once you actually start getting feedback from people that are in the group program, this is so good. This is so good. Once you start getting feedback from these people, you can use that feedback to create some of this other beginner stuff up at the top. For example, once you get people in the group program and you hear you'll start getting feedback from people. You hear some of those same few things over and over and over again. It's like, oh, this is so good. I always just get stuck on this one thing, or these 2 or 3 things, or it's always the family members. I have no idea what people would talk about. Go back and say, oh, what is the thing that people need most in order to, maybe it's not the thing that you thought, right? Maybe that, when I talk about gated free information, another term that people use in online business is a lead magnet. So a lead magnet would be like that free ebook that's about the exact topic that people are struggling with in your group program, because that way you know that people have this problem. When they see that free ebook, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to have that. I have no idea how to tell my mom not to give me any more Christmas presents. They will tell you everything you need to know, and then you can even use that to make your cheap information product, right? Like everything that they're struggling with in this group program, you can make like those like freebie kind of like worksheets, or the freebie mini course about some certain topic. Why do I keep saying free? It's a cheap mini course or a cheap membership area. So these little cheap information products that I was talking about, you can use the information that they tell you straight out of their mouth in your group program. So right there, you basically have filled in that whole funnel that I just talked about, by utilizing the actual feedback from the people who have the exact problems that you want to help them with. So essentially, you don't have to do all of the thinking and planning and figuring it out in terms of making people happy. I mean, you got to be super committed and listen to what they say and listen to their feedback. But even once you create a course, like you can go back and revise it and update it and add in like an extra bonus module, and people be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And it's like, oh, well, it's actually just questions that you guys had that I forgot to put in there the first time. Like, you make it look like not just make it look like you just become like the answer to the problems that people are searching for online. Remember I said the end goal is to have a lot of people who trust you. And I think, again, we talked about factors of building trust. One is being a member of the audience that you're trying to serve. And another one is just taking their requests and their questions and their feedback like to heart, and showing that, you're trying to, create some kind of resource just to make life a little bit easier for them, on that topic. So I think, that was such a good little trick. All right, so that was my process for creating the product. I know it sounds easier than it really is, but the thing is you can make it as hard as you want it to be. Like I said, people want a transformation. They don't need to be like they don't need to be 100% sure that you are like a scholar on every aspect of the topic. Like, you really just need to give them like the information that is going to make the most impact in their life, and then move on to the next piece of it, the next module. And you can always give people, especially if you're doing a group program, you can always give people extra support and extra reassurance or whatever on the certain things that maybe you didn't go into as much depth in your course. And I keep acting like you guys are combining all these together. Maybe you're not combining them all together, but you're just using like what people are asking for and kind of filling in like another part of your funnel with the products. And so, so first and foremost, though, you got to be willing to put yourself out there to have an audience. And I know that going back to fears that I had about starting this, that was definitely a huge one. I didn't even like have social media really when I had my organizing business, because I was all insecure about what I would post on Instagram and that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I'm really thinking I want to have, talk to people on Facebook and YouTube. And again, I didn't know I had the love for it that I did. So I definitely learned a lot about myself, but I was willing to put myself out there because I really wanted to be what I wish that I would have had when I started my business. So I wanted to be that person for somebody else. And that was like, if I can just be that person for one other person, that it will all be worth it to me. So if you guys are serious about your online business dreams, you will at some point be like, I really got to study, or I really got to learn something about, it's called copywriting. That's just the act of writing words on a page on the internet and in order to sell something. So it's not all about talking about why you're so qualified and what all of your group program, for example, includes. It's why does that matter to them? Always be thinking about talking about why it matters to them and what the benefit is for them, what the transformation is for them. And again, when it comes to selling, I don't think of selling so much as being like, okay, so buy my thing now. I think of it more like, what's the cost of you not doing this? For example, if somebody's going to sell me right now on this photo organizing course, like do it yourself, digital photo organizing, and they put up a sales page that was just like, okay, so it's got 28 videos and I am a master photo organizer. I would be interested, again, because I did tell you I need this, but I wouldn't be as interested as the person who came along and said, this will help you finally cross this project off your list that has been on it forever, that you keep pushing back. And like, well, do you really want to get to like, your daughter's 10th birthday and you haven't even made a baby book because all your photos are like all over the place? Like if you wrote that on a sales page, I would start crying and then I would press buy now for $250. So you see what I'm saying? Like you need to connect with people's emotions. Don't just describe like okay, well, it's a course and I don't know. Y'all get it. Like it doesn't need to be too focused on you who made it. It needs to be very focused on the person who it's for, because when people buy things, they're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about what they want out of it. So that's a very brief description of how to sell products. Is you need to connect with people's emotions and a little bit of fear of what will happen if they don't do it. Okay, and obviously with the group program, let's talk about this. So your group program should probably, if you're doing like whether it's 6 weeks or a year, you should probably be starting it, only at certain times, obviously, so that you can go through it together with one group at a time. And that group can get to know each other, et cetera, et cetera. So like if you're doing a year-long group program, it's like you've got to really be thinking ahead of when does this need to be marketed, when do I need to sell this? Because if it's starting in February, for example, I can't wait till the middle of January and go, oh yeah, like I need to get some people on my email list. Like you need to be building that email list in advance. This does take some advanced planning, but it's not like it's impossible. And it's okay to start small. Like your first group program, like I was saying, it could have like 5 people in it. And you could just say like, I just want to give you guys, an extreme discount on this and be my testers and help me figure out how to improve this, So your bigger programs, so your course and your group program will not, it will serve you better for them to not be open all the time. And obviously with the group program, it's better, especially if you're moving through like a structured amount of material, especially for a short amount of time, that new people can't just come in and out or whatever. Like they need to pay probably for the year, and then it's like you have access to it, and you're in it, and we're all going to go through this together. Yeah, I just have a few other points that I'm going to make, and then I'm going to close this up. I'll tell you a few reasons why I think that, and please take this for what I mean. I want you guys to succeed with this. I know that I have had some like really big ups and downs with having an online business. Like in one aspect is definitely like a dream of mine come true. In another aspect, it is harder than I ever thought something would be. Maybe because I feel so responsible. Like I'm like somebody who feels like extra like responsible for people, even like when it's not, like not my business. Like I want everybody to do well. So, but one reason why I think that, I have been able to have a level of success with this, and this is what I want you guys to take and apply to your own endeavors, and maybe compared to some other people, not in the organizing world, but just in general, other people that have online courses and other people whose courses I have taken that have left a bad taste in my mouth, is that, I am, I've done a lot better, especially this year in general, at not being like tied to my phone and tied to my Facebook group and tied to the online, the online business means that you can do everything from your phone. And when you're on your phone all the time, your kids will notice, your spouse will notice. And obviously if you're working another job, they might eventually notice. All three of those things have happened to me. So I get it. I think that you have to be good at turning it off, but at the same time, really giving some undivided attention to the people, especially who have paid and invested with you, but even the ones who haven't, like really giving them your attention, on a regular basis. And all I'm trying to say here is I have noticed very much like in other groups and other courses where the creator of the course is not actually present in the group. It's all like automated posting like on Facebook. I don't like that. Even when they offer other support things, it's kind of like either be in the group or like don't automate it and make it seem like you're posting every week when it's the same thing over and over again. I don't like that. And there are some strategies out there, I guess, that say that you can do that. And I just don't think that that's a good way to go. So I think that I have been successful to, again, like I said, I'm not making $1 million a month, but I'm just saying, I think I've been successful in this because I'm very personal with my audience. And I know people and I remember people. And when people send me emails, I remember that forever. Just things like that. Like I, make a point to do those things. Because I know how much it has impacted me. When I have written an email to thank somebody for some content that they put out there. I mean, and I don't do that very often. Like it has to be like a really big deal. I've written to people and then just not even gotten a response back. And I'm just like, man, if they don't like that kind of email, if they don't reply to that kind of email, like what do they reply to? Because I know how overwhelming it is to have a full inbox and for it to be mostly, annoying stuff. And it's like, if you can't reply to somebody who like genuinely is like, oh my God, you changed my life with something that you did, like on the internet, then why are you even doing it? So that's why I never want to lose that connection with people. And that's one reason why, again, like I said, I'm not willing for there to be no end to my, funnel of selling. It's more like, I know where I can help people. I know where I can do my best work, my biggest impact. Whether you have a blog and people comment on it, or whether you have a free Facebook group, or whether you have your YouTube channel and you get comments there, I just really think it's important to engage with people. And it doesn't mean that you have to reply to every single thing right away, but just that, you do read things and engage with people consistently. Like with my specific business, with my specific course, which is, a big thing and, a bigger investment. but people get it forever. It's not like just a limited time. So I will take kind of social media breaks, but like I always come back and, get on my computer and read everything and reply to everything. So, I know, in general, there's no emergencies, but like I never want anybody to think that I missed their notification. I have learned that having boundaries with all this is super important, and making sure, that people it's like I will reply to my email, but like I can't do the Instagram private messages and Facebook private messages. Like just email me. Like I believe that you'll get my reply best there, or I can reply best to you there. So having boundaries is important, but also just like giving and like being, generous with your people is really important too. Okay. Then I wrote down, when it comes to skills, I would say I do have some tech skills, but the more important thing is that I'm willing to Google and learn anything that I don't know. I am willing to pour through the boring FAQ and help sections of all these apps that I talk about: Teachable, ConvertKit, your email service provider, MailChimp. Like they have so much free information to help you out there, and go there first, to be honest. There's always YouTube videos that like people will make. They'll show you tutorials about how to do stuff. But for example, ConvertKit, which I use for a long time for my email, it's in their best interest to show you everything there is to know about not only using their product, but using it to grow your business and get more people to sign up for your emails, and how to do like cool sign up forms that don't look dinky. I mean, they want you to look great and they want you to succeed. So all that stuff is there. When it came to something that I didn't know, I mean, I sat and taught myself, and I've taught myself, a lot of graphic design stuff on my own. Again, some of these were skills I already had, but, there are resources. You got to use your resources for everything. I definitely think there is a paid version of everything and a free version of almost everything. Usually paying something is better than paying nothing, but paying a lot is usually not necessary. That's definitely my feeling about that when it comes to this stuff. And then very last but not least, a reason that I think I have been successful is because I didn't even ask anybody what they thought about it before I did it. I knew for sure that I wanted to say what I needed to say, and that it was different than what other people had done. And I put it out there, and then I took the feedback that I got from that like so to heart. Like not I'm saying I obsessed over it, but I'm just saying like I took all the questions I got. I took all the feedback I got. It was documented. I have people who helped me document it and organize it. They know who they are. Like before I revamped and updated the course as Inspired Organizer. So like everything was like categorized and documented, and I use that to improve it. So I think like continuous improvement is more important than saying, you need to wait until you're more of a, coach, one-on-one coaching expert online. I don't think that's necessarily true. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew what I was doing. I didn't ask for anybody's feedback before I did it. I was just like, I think I'm going to put this out there. I don't know. I can't really tell you what I was thinking now, except just that I had to. I felt like I had to. But I remember thinking to myself, not necessarily that I was trying to become an expert, but that I was just like, well, of course nobody knows an expert before they write their book or before they make their course. But once you do that, people will see you as an expert. If any one of you guys wrote a book on something right now, I would drop on the floor and be like, oh my gosh, you are an expert. Like, I had no idea. You're so amazing. Like, I'm gonna tell everybody that I know you because you're published on Amazon. Nobody knows that you just did it yourself. So, I'm not saying like I see through it now, but I'm just saying I see how it works. How it works is you organize your ideas and you organize your content and you put it into something helpful and you put it out there, and then people look at you and say, oh my gosh, like you have a perspective and you have answers that I don't have. So people will definitely, I'm trying to break this down and make it seem like it's not a big deal because I want you guys to do something with it, but people will think you're a big deal, and I think you should just let them think that because it does feel pretty good. And because, it takes some confidence, I think, to continue to put yourself out there, especially when you are opening yourself up to criticism. So you need to have the people who said all the great things about you so that you can, take the criticism and work with it and continue to grow. So guys, I think that I think I've covered all my topics. I hope that this was enlightening. It was definitely cathartic for me because a lot of this is like stuff that I have kind of wanted to bring up, but I didn't know how to, approach it. So I was happy to share it with you guys here. Well, just a parting note, I am available in my course/group is Inspired Organizer. It is not an ongoing monthly fee, it's just a one-time fee. The course is all about the business side of organizing. It is not about how to organize other people. It is not about how to set up the business part per se, like, business licensing, like I trust you've gotten to that point, but it's about how to market and sell and brand yourself, and how to sell packages, like large packages. Like you should not be, walking out of a house, with only $25 per hour that you were there. I'll teach you how to sell, 4-figure packages, get paid up front, be working the project with awesome people who are really committed to what you're doing. Like it's a whole different game changer. So it's all about, people who are willing to pay high, for a higher end experience. So how to create that experience, how to brand yourself so that people, trust you, that you deliver on that. And then of course, how to manage those projects and how to market yourself in the many, many ways there are to market a business these days. So what we do in the course is I take you through creating a business system. So I basically help you create, that funnel that we talked about in this chat, which, for our purposes is mainly the top part and then the bottom part, and that's why you can skip just straight to the bottom and do the one-on-one service, which can be and should be the most expensive thing that you sell. But through this chat today, hopefully you figured out a few other things you can put along the way. So in the course, I help you, build that system so that you can sell the one-on-one services. And then the last module is like how to market and get more people into the top so that they can trickle down, which is the awesome part. So by the time you're there, you're like ready to go, like turn the heat up on fire. So I feel like I've wanted more people to ask about Facebook ads. I wanted more people to ask about online products because that's like where I feel like my like passion comes out, and obviously because I can talk about it for 3 hours, but where some of like my strategy stuff kind of shines. But I know that maybe some people just need a little bit more information to get going. So that was kind of why I wanted to bring this up today. All right. Anything else, you can email us at hello@proorganizerstudio.com, and we'll talk with y'all soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Organizer Studio podcast. If you'd like to learn more about time-saving services and resources for professional organizers, visit www.proorganizerstudio.com. And if you'd like to get Jen's roadmap to success for launching and growing your professional organizing business, go straight to www.poroadmap.com.